Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News. This is a Time Machine episode for July 5th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 187. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. That's what powers all of this. And the sentient AI, the co-host for this show, is not available at the moment. Will be on the show tonight. Non Sequitur News tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's when we normally do the shows on the weekend. And there's going to be 4 shows today, not including this one. There's going to be Non Sequitur News at 5. And then somewhere around 6:30, we're going to have Reality Hacker. And then somewhere around 8 o'clock, maybe a little sooner, is going to be Wanted. Maybe a little later. It really depends on how fast we move through the articles. And then somewhere around 9 o'clock is going to be Warcrafters. Each show aims to be an hour long, but we tend to run a little long as I like to vamp. It's just the way that all of that works out. Oh, I did not put today's articles into the bot, so I'm going to do that. And that means that they're going to look a little wonky when you actually look at them. When you run the command, it's going to throw all of the links out, but it's going to have the titles in a weird order because the bot goes a little crazy whenever I throw things in there randomly. Anyway, let's get into it. Today is another 10 articles, all of it powered by ohmTown.com. We're going to start with Old Leather Jacket Fights Global Warming. When Hippos Fly, YouTuber helps solve computer mystery. No melt ice cream. YouTube copyright eraser tool. Rage against the vending machine. Ancient shipwreck computer. California water budgets, which this is dystopian. Navy vet is an American, says DMV. And trends to watch in the food world. I'm going to be told after that article, I told you so. But that's okay, because I don't pretend to know everything. I know a little bit about a lot. So let's get into it. All right, folks. I hope that you can hear the music just barely under the surface. We don't want just completely dead air. Otherwise, it's nothing but hot air emanating from Mayor Watt. If you are in chat, and you can type in NSN for Non Sequitur News, !NSN, and you'll get all of the articles. I'm going to be attaching ohmTown to YouTube here in not too long a time. And I don't, as Mayor Watt, I don't log into YouTube. But anyway, go and check us out over on YouTube as well. That's where over 1,100 episodes or so are now, not just ohmTown, or I should say not just Non Sequitur News, but everything that we do, because there's 7 podcasts that we do now. Non Sequitur News is just the daily one, and then we have Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, the Continuity Report, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech. And if you want those, you can actually hit ! show notes, and that'll give you the commands necessary to pull the show notes up for each one of those podcasts. And we do those shows weekly, but Non Sequitur News is an everyday kind of a thing. Okay, let's get into today's show. The very first article is David Hasselhoff cracks out the old leather jacket and kit from Knight Rider to tell gamers to grab your joysticks and fight global warming. Quote, "You know, I've been on some amazing movie sets," drawls David Hasselhoff to the camera while eating a cheeseburger and kind of in a drunken stupor. No, that was a long time ago. Anyway, but their favorite set of all time, actually, let me read the quote. "But my favorite set of all, planet Earth." Nailed it, Hoff. Makes you think. That was the end of the quote. Nailed it, Hoff. Makes you think. Not content with his bit part in the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Baywatch. The Baywatch and Knight Rider star. now has his sights on climate change and specifically getting us gamers off our behinds to do something about it. I like the idea of doing something about it by gaming and streaming games and talking about the news and all of that kind of stuff. That's stuff that I'm doing right now. And there's a bunch of other things, but it isn't just individuals that are causing this, by the way. Individuals aren't causing this at all. Individuals are making a pretty small impact on the environment. Industrial processes, those are the things that are doing huge amounts of impact on the environment. Global warming, the industrialization is what is causing global warming, and ignoring nature over profits. That is what's causing global warming. So telling gamers, yeah, okay, we can all speak out against it. Fine, I'll speak out against it. I'm trying to do my part. But I don't like this. But anyway, I mean, I like it in the messaging. I don't like it in the blame. Hasselhoff is the new face of a new campaign, or a face of the new campaign called Make Green Tuesday Moves, MGTM, which is MGMT is a band. So don't make that mistake. The Video Games Climate Change Alliance, which aims to offer unique DLC on the first Tuesday of every month. So the article is over at PC Gamer by Rich Stanton, and it says here, even if 80s supercar arguing for climate change or climate action feels a tad ironic. There are actually several of these kit cars out there. I don't know if this is the one that was restored recently, and even the kit trailer was located. It's pretty cool. I kind of dig this. And I used to watch this Knight Rider. It was a real blast. So buy the DLC, donate to a good cause. The games involved are casual titles on the Google Play Store called things like Bowling Club, Hunt Royale, Peridot, and Tile Destiny, which don't mean much to the author, but in terms of global audience probably makes more sense than a crossover with Deep Rock Galactic. The games involved together boast over 36 million daily players. The full list of games and partners can be seen via a link, but they don't have it embedded here. They say here, but the link isn't there. So maybe lower on there is. The press release also has introduced the author to the concept of passive activism, surely an oxymoron, whereby you support a cause by basically not changing your behavior, but by buying something, which not really oxymoron, but buying something that supports some type of social cause. It's activism. Activism in the sense where you're up and out and running around, knocking on doors and grabbing people and saying, or being a complete dipshit and spray painting Stonehenge. Obviously, they say that wasn't spray paint, but it was something that apparently, based on what I was told earlier today, there will be permanent damage. So I'd rather take somebody buying something so that material can lead to some type of social change than having some dipshit go out and ruin stuff. Not to mention, you have to use water or chemicals or damage something in some way so that you can undo the dipshit stuff that somebody did. So I'd rather buy a downloadable content. Anyway, CEO at Planet Play, Rhea Lucas, says that, or Ray, I'm not sure how they pronounce her name, says she hopes Hasselhoff's star power will inspire millions of players to join our mission to help keep global warming below the 1.5 degree threshold. Good luck. It isn't going to be individuals without some serious change in where our wallet goes. And to a game, no, I think that's just incidental compared to where the real money is. All right, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Hippos can launch themselves airborne for split seconds at a time, surprising scientists. I asked them not to spy on me while I'm in the pool, and well, there we go. Researchers discover hippos briefly lift all their feet off the ground while trotting. The Royal Veterinary College team made the discovery based on footage of hippos at a theme park. This gait is rare for large animals and is similar to the way horses run. Yeah, actually, you can probably find a video of this on YouTube. But back in 1878, photographer Edward Muybridge helped solve a debate about how horses gallop. And so they said, using cutting edge technology at the time, they captured a series of images that showed they simultaneously lift all 4 feet off the ground. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. Basically, their stride allows them to hop long distances in their gallop. So all 4 feet are off the ground. But I would suspect anything that can do a horse-like gallop, the same kinetics, they probably all lift. It just makes sense. The only reason why they wouldn't be able to get all 4 feet off the ground is they can't get enough momentum. Like elephants are really, really heavy, but if they could get enough speed up, they could probably lift all 4 feet off the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do. We just don't see it. The article is over at Business Insider, so I'm waiting for some really cool pictures. Jenny McGrath over at businessinsider.com put the article together. And every time I see this, anything about a hippo, I go right back to Jumanji, the new Jumanji series. It's pretty funny. I do not want to be eaten by a hippo. So researchers discover that hippos briefly lift all 4 feet off the ground when trotting. So do I. The Royal Veterinary College team made the discovery based on footage of hippos at a theme park, and the gait is rare for large animals. So let's see if they say anything else about this. Hippos move more like horses than elephants. Oh, it's interesting that they bring elephants into this. I suspected they would not, but apparently they did. So we were pleasantly surprised to see how hippos get airborne when they move quickly. Oh, there again, I'm right about the context of it. It's all about speed. If they can get enough speed, then off they go. They kind of fly low. They don't run fast. They fly low. So when elephants walk, they move their back leg, front leg, back left leg, front left leg, back right leg, then front right leg, according to the BBC. Scientists thought hippos move in a similar way because of their enormous size. However, Hutchinson and RVC undergraduate student Emily Pringle watched footage of 2 hippos at Flamingo Land, the theme park, and they saw something different. While it only lasted an instant, about 0.3 seconds, all 4 of the animal's feet did leave the ground. That's awesome. So there's a video, and you can actually go and check it out. They say that it's uncommon. It's an uncommon gait for larger animals such as hippos, which can weigh over 4,000 pounds. Again, I'm willing to bet that even all animals, when they get up to that gallop speed, they launch themselves briefly into the air. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. YouTuber helps researchers solve the mystery of a 2,000-year-old quote-unquote computer. So a fragment of the 2,200-year-old Antikythera mechanism, which has gears within gears, is highly complex, over 2,000 years old. But that, I don't know. That's a guess. That's when, well, the ancient device found in a shipwreck likely followed a Greek lunar calendar. They used statistical modeling techniques typically used to study ripples in space-time. Last year, Graham Wone knew just how he wanted to spend his Christmas break, trying to solve the 2,200-year-old mystery of the oldest known quote-unquote computer in the world. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Oh, this is an article by Jenny McGrath, again over at Business Insider. This is actually a metal brass clockwork computer of sorts. The current debate is that it matched the precession of planets, and so in making this into a workable device after they scanned it, they basically said this is what it did. And so last year, Graham Wone wanted to look at it again. Well, YouTuber Chris Budasilic has long been fascinated by the mechanism and started creating his own version 7 years ago, but wasn't sure how many holes to include. Based on some of Budizic's research or published research, University of Glasgow astronomers, including Wone, turned to statistical modeling techniques to find the answer. It struck me as an interesting problem and one that I thought I might be able to solve in a different way during the holiday Christmas. So I set about using some statistical techniques to answer the question, Wone said in a university press release. So based on the number of holes, the researchers found the device follows a lunar calendar instead of an Egyptian one, as some previous research suggested. So it says it was a shipwreck full of ancient treasures. So it says the Antikythera mechanism is broken and eroded, making it difficult to know exactly how it worked. Yeah, it was encrusted. And so it was actually scanned. Excavations have uncovered 3 life-size marble horse statues, coins, jewelry, and other treasures, and according to the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. But the Antikythera mechanism is perhaps the most unique discovery of them all. I wouldn't say perhaps. It's about the size of a shoebox, is broken into 6 pieces, has eroded from its time underwater. The mechanism is so sophisticated that some thought it had to be a modern device that got mixed in with ancient artifacts. According to Derek John DeSoya Price, he helped discover the device's function in the 1970s. So they took X-ray images from 2005, gave researchers new details about the device, and in 2020, Budasilic, I'm not sure how they pronounce their last name, damn it. And his colleagues used the images to measure the positions of the holes and proposed the mechanism had between 347 and 367 holes. If it had closer to 350, it would have followed the lunar calendar. If it had 365, it would have been modeled on the Egyptian calendar. We use 365, so we're odd. So, but it was difficult to nail down an exact number because of the device's diminished condition. So, actually, like a lot of modern things, we follow ancient things, but modify it slightly. So he learned that it was hundreds of times more likely that the device had 354 holes than 360. So they say, in other words, there's a much higher probability that the mechanism tracked the Greek lunar year instead of the Egyptian one. It was capable of calculating planets' positions incredibly accurate for its time. But that's it. That's all that they actually say about this. But they say that it's followed up by research modifying techniques used to study gravitational waves, which are ripples in space-time. This is adding some hubris to what already I think is hubris. Yeah, I think with higher resolution scans, they'll probably be able to find out even more. Things get lost in the fidelity and translation. So let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Scientists invented no-melt ice cream that holds its shape for 4 hours, but you can't eat it yet. I thought McDonald's already did this. A new innovation could help prevent ice cream from becoming a puddle at room temperature. Compounds called polyphenols, found in green tea and berries, can help stabilize the ice cream. More research is needed to make no-melt ice cream a delicious reality. But man, that just sounds so dystopian, so weird, so... I don't know. I don't want something to just stay static. There was somebody that put an ice cream sandwich from somewhere, I thought it was McDonald's, out in the sun, and it didn't melt. It just sat there static, like a non-Newtonian fluid. It just sat there, and then if you like touched it, that's when it actually fell apart. It was weird. I think that you can look it up on YouTube there as well. So sloppy sundaes and drippy cones could become a thing of the past. as the wonders of science have uncovered a way to make ice cream nearly melt-proof. Again, over at Business Insider, Gabby Landsverk put the article together. And you know what? Just give me melty ice cream. I'll take melty ice cream, please. I don't want some weird polyphenol ice cream. What flavor would you like? Oh, I'd like polyphenol vanilla, please, because the matcha polyphenol doesn't really taste right. Some people would already say that about matcha, but anyway, plant-based compounds called polyphenols, which doesn't necessarily make it all natural, folks. You know, everything is natural. You can get a whole bunch of stuff from plants, but not everything should be torn out of a plant and reconstituted as some chemistry. Don't get me wrong, I'm game for it in certain places, but trying to stop ice cream from melting, the hell's the point of that other than, I don't know. I can make my snowman in the middle of summer, I guess. That'll be great. Anyway, what's really interesting is the name of the person. So plant-based compounds called polyphenols are the secret to keeping frozen treats from turning into puddles, according to Cameron Wicks. Because wicking is a liquid thing, you know. Anyway, a PhD student at the university's food science department who's behind the project. Adding polyphenols to ice cream can create a product that holds its shape for over 4 hours at room temperature. That's pretty close to a no-melt ice cream. See, and I have no problem with this to a certain extent, but polyphenols sounds like we're going to have a bad time on the other end of this. And the reason why I'm cool with plants being turned into something that might get called polyphenols is because I like making mochi, and mochi gets hard over time, and actually it turns into a chemistry lab at some point. And so I want flexibility in my mochi after 2 days. I want it to still be somewhat fresh and whatnot, but that's not really what happens. It turns into a brick. But I'm doing it in a different way than I think a lot of people are doing it. Anyway, not to get sidetracked, but this is non sequitur news. So, although they don't prevent the ice from actually melting, polyphenols added to ice cream interact with fats and proteins in the ice cream to thicken the mixture, and as a result, the confection is able to hold its shape longer at room temperature and stave off a sticky mess. Yeah, in mochi, you want a sticky mess. Sort of. The effect is similar to stabilizers already used to make ice cream easier to transport. Carrageenan is one of the ingredients that I'm referring to that stabilizes things like ice cream, and you can actually put that and other things in ice cream to stabilize it. But this is a new one. This polyphenol is different because polyphenols already exist. So it says ice cream is such a complex system. Wick said in the press release, being able to understand all of the science behind it, you can make food items better, more sustainable, and you can make better systems that feed the world. And yeah, ice cream is not one of the things that is like feeding the world. It's a luxury beyond luxury. All right, this isn't a survival food. This is, well, some people will sit there and go, ice cream is for my survival. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in non sequitur news as well. YouTube's improved eraser tool easily removes copyrighted music from videos. YouTube has launched an improved eraser tool that lets creators remove copyrighted music from their videos while keeping other audio intact. The revamped tool, which was released this week, was first reported by TechCrunch. This is actually reported by The Verge. So it says the erase song feature lets creators silence copyrighted music in their content, the company announced in a video. The tool had previously been in place as a beta feature, but wasn't always accurate. The updated erase feature uses an AI-powered algorithm to help it more precisely identify and remove copyrighted songs without affecting other audio. That's impossible if the notes strike together, but okay. Maybe they cancel it out, kind of like audio amplification. When the waves hit at the same time, it amplifies it, makes it louder than it actually is. I actually do an audio test when I give talks to show people how sound can appear louder without turning up the volume. Because like pitch and amplitude are two different animals. Anyway, speaking not about the tool, but more about the copyright of things, I think that it's out of control. Copyright, I should be able to take a song and play it while I'm talking about it, chop it up into pieces, and discuss the various movements throughout the song and critique it. And you can't do that. You'll get a copyright strike, maybe even a DMCA takedown. And if you get 3 of these strikes, then you're done. They'll delete your account wholesale without any notice. I know this because I went through it for a different show altogether. I got no notice, no nothing. Suddenly the channel was gone. What was interesting is that it was recovered, but not until 6 months later. And a notice basically saying, oops. And so it was a conscious decision to delete it and work to recover it. But they didn't care. They basically, it took months because I kept on arguing about it, going, y'all just deleted a project that was underway that I've invested time and money in. And it went into oblivion, a black hole. But lo and behold, they recovered it. And unfortunately, there was no saving the project because the momentum was already gone. So copyright, I think, needs to be more precise. So if I take something and I use it wholesale, then that should be copyright violation. Fine, that's fine. But if I'm adding something to it, if I'm chopping it up, if I'm not using it as I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, I should be able to play the music and talk about it. I'm not using the music to create or to lay claim to it. I'm using a portion of the music and talking about it, or I'm using a portion of the music and creating a different work, something that is undeniably different. And I don't have to, I shouldn't say, well, I got this piece from this person. That's fine. I could, but it's a piece of something. It's inspiration from something. And I guarantee you the other people that have all of these copyrighted songs, they've got inspiration from somewhere else. Just because somebody hasn't been able to find it doesn't mean that it isn't true. Everybody gets inspiration from everybody else. We stand on the shoulders of giants, as research says, or science says. But apparently, if I create a song, 4 notes in succession suddenly allows me to lay claim to those 4 notes. And I think it's absolutely freaking ridiculous. So Gabby DeVale over at TheVerge.com put the article together. The text statement says a tool now uses an AI-powered algorithm to help creators mute copyrighted material without affecting other audio in their videos. And it's called the Erase Song feature. There isn't much more about it other than there's a support page that says that it might not work if the song is hard to remove, which, yeah, says so muting the audio instead can help to remove a content ID claim against a video. And I think that's all just ridiculous. Because I keep seeing videos about people who it's their own content that's getting content ID'd. And it's absurd. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Japan is bracing for rage against the vending machine, which I think is a real shame. Japan's new banknotes may not work in some vending machines, and Japan is a society that's still in love with cash and vending machines, and it's a decision to start issuing new banknotes that sparked a problem. Almost 80% of Japan's vending machines won't be ready to accept the new ones. In many ways, Japan is a country that's firmly embraced technology, yet it still remains attached to good old-fashioned cash. Shops scattered along the Zelkova-lined avenue. Zelkova? I'm not sure what that means. Tokyo's Omotesando, in the boutique shopping district of Ginza, are no strangers to locals and tourists waving their credit cards. Still, cash remains king. So the article is over at Business Insider as well. Hassan Chowdhury is the author, and apparently the new issue of Money, isn't supported. 80% of the vending machines won't accept it. Traditional bars, traditional inns, Shinto shrines often accept cash only. Sure, urban areas like Tokyo and Kansai regions, Osaka, are card friendly, but carrying physical yen is recommended when venturing beyond major cities. So for the first time in 20 years, Japan started issuing new banknotes this week in an effort to combat counterfeit money. The only problem is they might not be accepted everywhere. The devices need to be recoded to accept the cash. Take Japan's millions of vending machines. They're big business, offering everything from hot coffee and beer to Wagyu and hot sauce. Though some accept credit cards, those that take cash may not accept Japan's new banknotes. Yikes. Yeah, there's a Japan Vending Machine Manufacturers Association said that 80% of the country's machines would need upgrades to accept the new notes. That's going to be expensive. Yeah, you find these vending machines all over the place, apparently. I've never been to Japan, so I want to go. The banknote issues come at a peculiar time. Tourists have been flocking to Japan this year to take advantage of a weak yen, which hit a 38-year low against the US dollar this week, and travel guides tell tourists to carry cash. If they're stopping by a vending machine there anytime soon, they may want to check first if their bills will work. Yeah, well, the only way you can tell is if you go. So you're going to be cash bound anyway. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Ancient Shipwreck, where analog computer was found, yields fresh secrets. And this is an article that's from Newsweek that talks about the Antikythera mechanism, and I didn't realize it when I grabbed that first article. So Aristos Georgiou is the author over at newsweek.com. If you want a different take on it, might be some slightly different materials discussed, but the severely corroded hand-powered device is thought to have been used to predict the movement of astronomical objects such as the sun and moon, which would have helped to plan important events like religious rituals and agricultural activities. The device and other artifacts discovered or recovered from the shipwreck make it one of the most important discoveries in modern archaeology, according to Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. They don't really make mention of this other thing. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they don't make mention of it. So the structure allows us to better understand the ship's construction because they investigated the ship and what was recovered and where, and the ship's construction characteristics that had remained elusive until now, but also to determine the precise location and orientation of the wreck. The expedition also confirmed the presence of a second wooden vessel in the area of the main wreck. Investigations in recent years have raised the possibility that several ships may have been involved in this ancient tragedy. The research team also documented pottery at the site and opened excavation trenches which revealed around 300 objects, including 21 marble fragments, several structural elements of the ship's, I think it says hull here, but it probably is hull, and more than 200 ceramic shards. According to the team, the marble fragments indicate the presence of several statues. They close with that the Antikythera mechanism has upended our understanding of ancient technology, given that no other device with a comparable level of sophistication has been known for more than 1,000 years after it was created. So, yeah, it's why I suspect that there's more to this. And we tend to have cultural and temporal relativism. We base it off of what we know, and then science changes and says, oh, now we know this. And then everything changes around that. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over on the Mobile Channel. California advances first in nation plan to set water budgets for cities statewide. California officials have adopted a first-of-its-kind regulation that will set long-term limits on the amounts of water the state's urban utilities can use on an annual basis. starting what could be the water wars of 2045, or maybe some type of reorganization of the state as some with larger budgets get to use more water. I think it's kind of nuts that we have agriculture in California and desert areas that are pumping all kinds of groundwater out of the ground onto the surface, and then it freaking evaporates, and it's so wasteful, particularly for anything that could be in a warehouse, powered by solar panels. Hydroponic plants are what I'm talking about. Anything that is I don't know, about halfway. If it's 6 inches tall, then it can be grown in a greater density in hydroponic farms with zero loss, and food security just off the chain compared to what's out in the ground. The only problem is, and here's the kicker, out in the open, there's all kinds of predation and other things, and you use harsher chemicals and whatever to stop the predation, but you get the sun, and the sun grows the crops for you. All you have to do is tend them, make sure that nothing harms them. Hydroponically, you have to keep on watering, but you're not wasting any water. There's zero evaporation, or I should say less than a fraction of 1%. And it's 100% recovered, and it can be powered by solar panels on the roof of a warehouse. So why not just do that? I think it's kind of ridiculous, and it needs to be within each community. All right, well, the quantity conserved is enough to quench the thirst of more than 1.4 million households on an annual basis, according to the Water Board. What are they talking about? The State Water Resources Control Board on Wednesday granted unanimous support to sweeping conservation measures that are expected to generate about 500,000 acre-feet of water savings each year by 2040. So that's why I said, I guess I picked a good year that the water wars would kick off in 2045. The article is over at The Hill. Sharon Udison is the author at thehill.com. And again, they say the quantity conserved is enough to quench the thirst of more than 1.4 million households on an annual basis, which is a great step. We have now formalized water conservation as a way of life, Joaquin Esquivel, chair of the Water Board, said in a statement. The result balances saving water with making sure that suppliers have the flexibility they need to tailor their conservation strategies to local needs and climate. Yeah, they're going to get sued again and again and again because there's a duty of care and expectation of performance, where if for the last 45 years they've been providing unabated water access, suddenly they change the taps. It can harm businesses and individuals, etc. They're going to end up getting hammered by lawsuits, but we'll see. And they're talking about to meet individual budgetary goals, some of the lower water consumers among the 405 suppliers, such as San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, will not have to make any changes to current consumption practices, which is really smacking of disparate treatment. So various regions are probably going to get involved in suing these people. So on the other hand, the city of Atwater, located in the San Joaquin Valley Agricultural Hub, may face reductions of up to 58%, according to provisional data issued by the Water Board. And so San Joaquin Valley Agricultural Hub is going to sue the Water Board because, again, disparate treatment. And this is a massive impact on their performance. They'll have to roughly kill 60% to manage the region. That's untenable position for the community around it. So nonetheless, California officials touted the measure as much needed strategic tools capable of cementing the state's water security. So I guess you can look forward to new board members in the coming months or years. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech, which is one of our weekend shows. You know what? I just forgot when it is. Hold on a second. Yeah, so Four Wheel Tech is Sunday, and our last show on Sunday, so closer to the 9 o'clock hour Eastern time. So Tennessee DMV tells a 77-year-old Navy vet he's not an American and immediately cancels his driver's license. So a 77-year-old Navy vet, now granted, they served 4 years when they were really young. That's my understanding. And then this year, they say that he's not an American and they cancel his driver's license. Pretty wacky. And without getting into the minutia of this, I know exactly what happened with this. The same thing happened to an ohmTown citizen. But let's go over to Jalopnik so that we can read a little bit about the story. But I already know about this. So David O'Connor was born in Canada, but to U.S. citizens, military. And the article's over at jalopnik.com. Lawrence Hodge is the author. And so essentially, so everybody is supposed to get this real ID driver's license card. And it's supposed to have a more involved background check and verify that you're a U.S. citizen. And if you are born overseas, you may have some, depending on when you were born and where you were born, it's just this little stub of a piece of paper that says you were born. And when you're talking about a 77-year-old, this thing is before computers, may have been translated or image scanned in as an image, and then somebody had to go and flip a bit. And I think that's exactly what was done incorrectly. So while they were born in Canada, if you are born to U.S. citizens in some other country, more likely you're a dual citizen. You're a citizen of the local country and you're a U.S. citizen. And it isn't a technicality. It is, you are a U.S. citizen. You were born to U.S. citizens in a foreign country. So O'Connor recently went in to get his real ID. This is exactly what happened with the ohmTown citizen. Is a national requirement starting next year that will be needed for things like domestic air travel. You get one, you must provide documents like proof of residency and, most importantly, your birth certificate. And O'Connor did this. The problem came when he presented his Canadian birth certificate, except that you normally have something else that hints that you were born to U.S. citizens, even in a foreign country. So the ohmTown citizen did not have that other document, something that explained it. And so that the ohmTown citizen was told, you're not a U.S. citizen. So jumping through flaming hoops is what goes next. So O'Connor was born in Canada to parents. A person abroad in wedlock to two U.S. citizen parents requires U.S. citizenship at birth if at least one of the parents had a residence in the United States or one of its outlying possessions prior to the person's birth. And lo and behold, this means that O'Connor is a citizen. Sorry. He voted, paid taxes, has a social security number. None of that mattered to the Tennessee DMV, and it's because they did an electronic check that was flawed. And so now they're going to have to jump through some flaming hoops to get it resolved. And it says, with O'Connor not being able to drive, News 5 took the situation to the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, a guy named Jeff Long. Long was sympathetic to O'Connor's situation and promised to look into it, except that was an empty promise, as News 5 and O'Connor say they haven't heard a word from Long. Now, I don't know how long ago that was, but it takes a considerable amount of time, and I don't remember how long the ohmTown citizen had to wait to get it resolved, but it wasn't a short amount of time. The department cited a Tennessee law passed in 2018 that took away the right of non-citizens to have a driver's license as the reason they took O'Connor's, still ignoring the fact that he is a citizen, except that they base everything, all of their decision-making on the electronic records not something that gets handed in, because for most of it, they have no way to verify the authenticity of an external birth certificate or past performance, unless the electronic record. Otherwise, the liability is higher. It would be on that individual to make a determination, and nobody's going to do that. I mean, it turns into a federal thing, literally a federal thing. So this can be resolved in short order, particularly with this much attention. This has gone nationwide, whereas the ohmTown citizen situation, which is identical to this, different country of origin, but identical. So, yeah, it was resolved. And so now there is a paperwork trail and electronic records that prove citizenship. All right, folks, the last article for today's time machine is over in Stock Marketeers. 7 trends to watch in the food world, from freeze-dried candy to mushroom coffee. The United States has become a nation defined by its taste for all things gourmet, be it high-end coffee or imported olive oil, which is actually getting much more expensive if the trend has been maintaining itself. I haven't looked at it for a couple of months, but olive oil had been getting really expensive because Italy is getting crushed right now due to climate change. Shocker, I know. But what trends will define the future of food? So Charles Passy over at MarketWatch.com put the article together. The deck statement says, don't forget the mushroom flavored coffee either. Well, they have that right here. Oh, they changed the title. The article... The article's title changed. Interesting. Okay, well, anyway. Pardon me, freeze-dried everything. So I'm about to get told. I won't be able to go into great detail because I haven't signed in. But anyway. The U.S. Okay, that was the question waiting to be answered at this year's Fancy Food Show held recently at New York City's Javits Center, essentially the largest annual gathering of the gourmet world. And the show, organized by the Specialty Food Association, serves as a barometer of what Americans will be putting on their plates in the months and years ahead. But I can't actually talk about it because I don't have the article. Oh, that's horrible. And I don't log in while we're live. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. But when you go, you won't run into this problem. I'm just locked out because of my account existing but not logged in. So at any rate, I can't even tell you. You can follow the link, though, and that will tell you all about it. Sorry for that. But that's fine. Maybe I can follow up in tonight's 5 o'clock show for non-sequitur news. Maybe I can, I don't know. Let me do something real quick and I'll ruin it. Do. 1 second, folks. Sorry for the dead air. Do. I'm trying to find it. This can't be it. Yeah, that can't be it. Okay, well, anyway, I'm just going to call it. All right, that's it, folks. We'll what I'm going to do is I'll see if I can get this for the 5 p.m. non-time machine episode of Non Sequitur News, and we'll talk about it then. In the meantime, thank you very much for hanging out. If you're in my chat, appreciate it. And go over to YouTube and like and subscribe and follow us there, and download the podcast, and be sure to follow us here on Twitch at 5 p.m. Eastern today. We'll be back along with the Sentient AI, and we'll be talking about that article if I can log back in time. But we're going to be getting ready between now and 5 p.m. for the 4 new shows. Non Sequitur News, Reality Hacker, which is about AR, VR, AI, deepfakes, things like that. And then Wanted, which is about gadgets and gear that I think I want and other people might want. And then Warcrafters is gaming news for primarily like first person shooters and survival base building, things like that. But I'm about to try out a game called Coin Factory, which is this little micro game, but I'm really into chill games. So anyway, Elden Ring player, I am not, but I love watching people really get into that. So anyway, that's it for now. Be sure to follow us here on Twitch and YouTube so that you get notified when we go live. And it's typical for us to go live and start talking about the news right away, because we've got an hour per episode and then a little bit of a gap as we reset. And if I don't derp and fail to log in, then everything goes a whole lot smoother, but that's okay. It is what it is. Thanks for your patience, and we'll see you at 5 p.m. Eastern today, July 6th, 2024. But I'm in my time machine, so this is the news from July 5th. See ya.